these players this time of the year, George, I don't know if you feel this way, but watching it, it feels like there's a percentage of players on all these teams that are like, get me to the break, get me to this first half of the season.
Oh, I think that's fair, right? I think that's fair. It's a long season, right? Not too many days off. You're playing at least 6 days a week here. You want those 4 days off that are coming next week if you're not going to the All-Star game or the Home Run Derby there. So, listen, I do think that's fair to say here. Yeah, so you recharge for the. I know. Listen, technically, first half of baseball is already passed here, but it is what we call the first half. So you recharge for the second half after next Sunday's games.
And of course, we're going to be here for you throughout the ride in fantasy baseball season and fantasy football season as well. Let's get to some of our headlines here on the show. Earlier in the week, in case you missed it, we inducted somebody into the 3,000 hit club. It is Clayton Kershaw, officially with his 3,000 strikeout. No question, George doesn't like putting guys in the Hall of Fame, but he's going to have no choice but to put Kershaw in the Hall of Fame in 5 years if he decides to retire. Max Muncy goes down with a knee injury. Dodgers will just look to the waiver wire, look to the trade market. They'll pick somebody else up. No disrespect to Muncy, great player. Glasnow could be back for them as well. Corbin Carroll, maybe you can get him back in your lineups. His return appears to be imminent. But let's start off, George, with Clayton Kershaw. No longer really a fantasy starter for a lot of teams, maybe a very deep league or an NL-only league. Got to throw him out there. Even had trouble getting to 3,000 strikeouts the other day. But I kind of look at it. I don't know if you do, George. The last 20 years, maybe that's a little bit much. Maybe let's say 15. Kershaw, Scherzer, Verlander. I feel like all three of those guys. Do you feel like that they're kind of bunched together a little as far as their accolades and where they were? I think I probably have Kershaw at the top. But, certainly both Scherzer and Verlander belong in the conversation. Both have Cy Youngs. Both have World Series championships. But I kind of feel like, wouldn't it be something if all three decided to call it quits at the same time?
I didn't think of that as far as they all would quit, I guess, after this season. I don't know. I don't think Kershaw's coming back, right? So I think he is going to be done. I got to think one of Scherzer or Verlander is coming back next year. So I don't think they'll all get done same year. And they all should be first ballot Hall of Famers. So, they unless they all retire this year, they're not all going to go in together there. Kershaw, like I said, he's not that guy anymore. Really, I don't know if you want to start any of these guys on your fantasy team. You want to have Scherzer and Verlander on your bench? Okay, I guess sort of see it here. I mean, Scherzer came back from injury again on Monday, and now he's got, thumb and forearm tightness, so we don't know what we're going to get from him. Verlander's actually pitched okay last night, notwithstanding, but can't get a win. Doesn't have any wins yet, Craig. We are at July 5th, and he doesn't have a win, which I can't believe. And he's been hurt, too. Kershaw's been hurt. None of them are ever going to make 22, 24 starts in a season anymore, and they're not that guy anymore. They're just hanging on now for the love of the game, right? It's not money. They're all rich beyond rich, so they're just playing for the love of the game here. So I still enjoy watching them pitch. I do here, but it's also kind of sad to see that they're not that player anymore.
Yeah, and look, that's part of it. Guys get to the end of the line, but I think they've all had fantastic careers, nothing to sniff at. I didn't even realize, by the way, that's a stat that you just gave me, that Verlander doesn't have a win, especially with all the wins the Giants have this year. I'm still surprised to even hear that, but that's where we are. All right, so, let's dive. I hate to start off a show, Yankees and Mets, but it's kind of topical right now, to be honest with you, George, and I feel like it's been a while since we've done that, so I'm going to let it pass here for today's show. Levels of concern, I think, for both teams, and I know that they're finally playing against each other, but the Yankees end up losing a starting pitcher this week. I know that the pitching has been okay for them. It's been the hitting that's been a little inconsistent. And for the Mets, they're switching up the lineup. They're they're changing Lindor up there and moving him around with Brandon Nimmo. I saw Jeff McNeil hit another home run yesterday, but it feels like both teams are kind of going through what I would call a mid-season slump. And they're starting to get asked questions like, are these slumps for both those teams, or is this something that you think can linger in the second half? I personally don't think so. I think it's just the course of the baseball season.
Well, you start with the Mets. They've won 3 straight now, so they do seem to be breaking out of that slump. All right, but the problem for the Mets is, my God, their pitching staff has been decimated. Right, their bullpen was always going to be issues, but Clay Holmes, Peterson, Montas. And you got Hageman and Waddell. I mean, Senga's on the IL, Manaya's on the IL, McGill's on the IL, Blackburn went on the IL. That's a lot of starting pitchers down here. Not that the Mets are truly relying on starting pitching anyway. It's not something David Stearns believes in, the general manager. He does believe in really throwing mud against the wall, seeing what sticks. He's not going to go out there and sign, a Corbin Burns type before the season for 6 years and $200 million. It's not what he believes in. He doesn't want to sign the starting pitchers to long-term contracts, believing that they're going to get hurt. And, well, they do. Yeah, that's the way it is. So they're going to need those bats to really cover them. I don't think they can win the division. I didn't think that anyway. I think Philadelphia is the better team there, and they'll win that division there. But the Mets, like I said, they seem to be breaking out of it here. I said 1-3 straight, big win for them yesterday on the McNeil home run in the 8th inning. And we'll see if they can continue that. But I think the Mets are going to have a lot of ups and downs, Greg. Because if the offense isn't hitting, they're going to struggle somewhat. The Yankees are sort of in a different boat here because they have problems all over the place, right? Their defense is terrible. Their infield defense, everyone, DRS, defensive run saved, is a minus, which is not good. They won't move Chisholm off third base, even though he's the analytics. And the Yankees are a heavy analytic team, Craig. And the analytics tell you that the Yankees are a better team with Chisholm playing second base and anybody playing third. Doesn't matter who. They're just a better team there because Jazz is a better second baseman than he is a third baseman. And it doesn't matter who they play at third. That person won't be playing second, who's been awful. So they got problems there. You mentioned Schmidt went on the IL yesterday. They're not going to get Louis Hill back till the end of the month. It's maybe at best here. So they've got some issues there. Who would have thought, who would have thought that the hitting would be somewhat of an issue here? But, yeah, they've lost 5 straight. Everyone's talking about the hitting. Craig, in those 5 games, they've scored 28 runs. That's 5.6 a game.
Yeah.
Got to win those. Or you got to win some of them. Yankees, by the way, have lost. The bullpen has now lost 5 straight games. Literally. The bullpen's taken an L in 5 straight. Yankees have issues all over the place.
Yeah. Toronto has really moved up in the standings. You saw earlier in the week, George Springer had a huge game for the Blue Jays as he rounds out that contract with them. And naturally, we'll keep an eye on the standings as we go. George, real quick, some brief announcements. We got the starters for the All-Star game. We got the reserves coming up. They're going to be announced on Sunday. We also have some home run derby participants. And the one that really sticks out to me the most, George, and he's having a fantastic season, is James Wood of the Washington Nationals. I mean, yes, Cal Raleigh's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. He's like a candidate for MVP of the American League. But every time I look up, George, James Wood is either getting 5 hits or being walked 4 times in a game. What a season for this guy.
And he's so young. Was he 22? So what a future this kid has ahead of him. He's been great. I got him on a couple of my fantasy teams, so very happy to see that. I think so far, Craig, we have Wood, Acuna, and Raleigh. I think those are our 3 guys they've said are in the Derby here. So they got to find 5 more, which should be somewhat interesting to go there. But yeah, Wood, like I said, he hits mistakes. I mean, even the Bulls, he doesn't hit that hard. That home run they hit the left field the other day, he really didn't crush it. It was sort of a mistake. Ball got by him, but he's so strong. He still hits it out. A lot of fun to watch.
All right, let's do this. We'll take a quick time out here on Fantasy Sports Today. And when we come back next, we'll go through some 3 up, 3 down players that had really good weeks and then players that had down weeks as well. So make sure you stay on the grid for that. Don't forget, also coming up Sunday morning on the show, we've got Joe Pisapia and Matt Stryker here with you. So tune in Sunday morning, same time, same place, 8 a.m. Eastern. George and I will be back with more Fantasy Sports Today here on this Saturday, July the 5th, right after this quick timeout here at SportsGrid. Don't go away.
Young at 30-1. I think it's a really nice course for him at the Rocket Mortgage in Detroit, Michigan for him. Wyndham Clark at 36-1. And I also like Alex Noren at 60-1.
My Morency drunken Brett dart toss golf pick, which does win like 2-3 times a year, guys. Insanely enough. But I'm going to say Matt Fitzpatrick.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
I do believe that SJ now is the #1 player in the world. The things that he can do from the point of attack offensively and defensively. His ability to drive downhill and score in all three levels. And the thing about I like most about this young man at 26, he's so humble. He's so humble. And that speaks to the whole culture of OKC that Sam Presti and Mark Daigneault has built. Humble team, folks.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
No way that I'm betting on the Cleveland Cavaliers for any reason whatsoever.
No.
Ever. Like, when they had LeBron James, it was a different story. I think Spider's great. He's no LeBron. I don't see him carrying them to a title. And I don't believe in the Knicks at all. The Knicks never get it done.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Kevin Durant, at the age of 36 years old, after 17 seasons that he has played in the NBA DRS, is now on his way to H-Town.
I don't think it's a great move. I wanted him to go to a ready-made championship team full of a veteran roster and see if he can ring chase that way. Not to go to an organization on the come-up that if you just stay the course, and also, what better blueprint do we have?
Little 3 up, 3 down here on Fantasy Sports Today. Craig Mish along with George Kurtz. Let's dive into the latest stats in Major League Baseball, fantasy baseball, halfway through the Major League Baseball season, George. I feel like we were just here in February and March. We are halfway through this season. I'm pretty sure in a couple of months, a lot of people are going to be done with their fantasy baseball teams, which is sad for me as well. But you and I will do fantasy football. We know that's coming. All right, so baseball-wise, Red Sox hanging around here in there. Willie Abreu has been one of the top performers for the Red Sox for the most of the season. 313 this past week, 3 home runs, 9 runs driven in, a stolen base. Everyone, certainly waiting for all the other stars on the Red Sox to come alive. But this guy's been one of the more consistent players this season. Flies under the radar quite a bit.
He's a nice little player here, right? Maybe they open up some room for him with the Rafael Devers trade. Get another bat in that lineup here. Hit the inside of the park home run at Fenway the other day, which is hit it right to the triangle, top of the wall, bounced away from the center fielder on the Reds, and away he went. So it was a fun little play there. Red Sox, they're going to be a good offensive team. Maybe not this year, but all those are the players: Abreu, Anthony, Durant. If he stays with the team, which I am not so sure about, Rafael. I mean, they've got some good young players, right? Their future should be somewhat bright, assuming there's a big assumption, of course, assuming that they can get some pitching in there, right? We'll see what happens there because they're gonna need some help beyond Crochet. All right, Bello and Houck, I think, are more bottom of the rotation guys. They're gonna need some top of the rotation starters here, and they'll be a dangerous team in a couple of years.
All right, let's get to the red-hot Miami Marlins. Even when they lose yesterday, it's a really close game. Kyle Stowers had a really nice year. He had a bit of a slump, George, for about a month, didn't really hit much. I think he's probably secured as the Marlins all-star. We'll find that out on Sunday. This past week, 300, 2 home runs, 2 runs driven in. Miami got him and Connor Norby last year for Trevor Rogers. By the way, Trevor Rogers is finally doing some things in Baltimore. I know he's pitching well as of late, but Stowers has been probably the most consistent offensive performer for Miami. I just hope people didn't drop him a month ago.
Yeah, he's been really very good here. By the way, Craig, did the Marlins lose while you were away?
They won every game. I came back and they lost. Yeah.
Yeah.
They did blame me.
As well they should. I mean, hey, Craig's not here, we win. Craig's not here, we win.
They were on the road. I don't know. Does that count? They were on the road. If it was home, I'd feel differently about it, but I wouldn't have been there anyway.
Good point. It was kind of funny, though, that they didn't lose the game while you were away. Yeah, that Stowers has been great. Listen, it's good to see that some of their younger hitters are hitting. All right, we didn't even talk about Gustin Ramirez and how good he's been. All right. make an argument he could be their all-star rep as well. I don't think he will be, but that he could be. He's had that kind of year for the Miami Marlins. And you and I have discussed multiple times in this show now, man, fantasy catchers. It's not the desert or as desolate as it used to be here. There actually are fantasy catchers in fantasy nowadays. Even if you get one hurt, there's generally someone you can pick off the waiver wire here. So, but it's good to see the Marlins having some good young offensive talent that's coming up, that's playing well, especially in what is a major pitcher's ballpark.
Now, one of the big stories, I think, on the Houston Astros, George, has to be the next player we're going to discuss. A very quiet start to the season for Cam Smith, who they acquired in the trade for Kyle Tucker. But, George, don't look now. This guy could be ready for a massive breakout. 476 this past week. If you take a look at some of the metrics, his WAR, George, I mean, this guy's on pace for a 5-WAR season. That's among the very best at his position in Major League Baseball. And ignore that Orioles logo, by the way, he's on Houston. But 476 this past week, 6 runs driven in. And, the power isn't there yet, George, but that's kind of the last thing that comes sometimes for these prospects. I mean, at the end of the year, if he hits 290 with 15 home runs, 70 runs driven in for a 22-year-old, it's a great keeper prospect.
Agreed. The guy who can hit maybe not crush any one category, but hit all the categories across the board here. I give you enough home runs to matter, bases, which Lord knows I need stolen bases, and errors that will help you, not hurt you. He's a good little valuable player there in fantasy. I found it interesting last night. In our opening headlines, we had so many Dodger things were listed there as far as Muncy with the injury. Saw that injury, by the way, the other night, Greg. Man, that knee bent the wrong way. The fact that it's just a bone bruise, I think very lucky there. I was expecting the worst from Muncy. Kershaw, the strikeouts. They're going to move Edman to third base, by the way. Try him there so he could have some fantasy, I guess, extra value as far as another position he might be eligible for there. But I found it interesting last night. I mean, Houston beat the snot out of the Dodgers, 18-1. And this is what happens here. Oral Hershiser doing the game for the Dodgers brings up the cheating scandal, going, they must know the signs because they're hitting curveballs like they know it's coming. It's like, oh boy, did you really want to go down that rabbit hole again here? I think this is one of those nights where they got destroyed. Hey, it happens in baseball here. But just found that an interesting comment by Oral Hershiser. Start bringing up the cheating scandal again because they beat the tar of the Dodgers pitching last night.
Now let's go to 3 down. Here are some players with tough weeks. Formerly the toast of the Yankees, Anthony Volpe, 136, George, this past week. No home runs, 2 RBIs. No longer the toast, but I don't think he is toast, do you?
Fans have definitely turned on him. All right, they're tired of the errors. When he first came up, he had that uppercut like he was Aaron Judge. Trying to hit everything out, and that's what the Yankees toward him here. Found it very interesting yesterday, Craig. Boone pinch hit for him. And the Yankees have protected him like there's no tomorrow. But yesterday, they pinch hit for him. He's going to play, by the way. The Yankees don't have anybody else. Peraza is your backup shortstop. He's batting 140. All right, so it's still Volpe or bust here. But I think the pressure still might finally be starting to get to Boone and Volpe, by the way. Just not playing very well.
Same could be said for Mookie Betts, who, is never going to catch any fire. This guy has been fantastic for a decade. But, George, he's going through the toughest year of his career this year.
Started off with that food poisoning, whatever it was in Japan, right? We missed a couple of games. His bat speed, by the way, is very low. It always has been. He's never had heavy bat speed, but it's pretty low this year as well. He's going to have a tough time catching up to good fastballs.
And finally, Brendan Donovan, tough week for him, 214 batting average, but nobody's going to complain with this guy, George. He's had a really nice year for the Cardinals.
Very nice year. Could be a league winner. Hit a home run yesterday, so he's bouncing out of it now.
All right, our aces of the week are up next on Fantasy Sports Today. Craig Mish, George Kurtz will be back after these messages here on SportsGrid. Don't go away.
Cam Young at 30-1. I think it's a really nice course for him at the Rocket Mortgage in Detroit, Michigan for him. Wyndham Clark at 36-1. And I also like Alex Noren at 60-1.
Mike Morency, drunken Brit dart toss, golf pick, which does win like 2-3 times a year, guys. Insanely enough. But I'm going to say Matt Fitzpatrick.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
I do believe that SJ now is the #1 player in the world. The things that he can do from the point of attack, offensively and defensively, his ability to drive downhill and score in all 3 levels. And the thing I like most about this young man at 26, he's so humble. He's so humble. And that speaks to the whole culture of OKC that Sam Presti and Mark Daigneault has built. Humble team, folks.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
No way that I'm betting on the Cleveland Cavaliers for any reason whatsoever.
No.
Ever. Like, when they had LeBron James, it was a different story. I think Spider's great. He's no LeBron. I don't see him carrying them to a title. And I don't believe in the Knicks at all. The Knicks never get it done.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Kevin Durant, at the age of 36 years old, after 17 seasons that he has played in the NBA DRS, is now on his way to H-Town.
I don't think it's a great move. I wanted him to go to a ready-made championship team full of a veteran roster and see if he can ring chase that way. Not to go to an organization on the come-up that if you just stay the course, and also, what better blueprint do we have than just staying the course and OKC, right?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to Fantasy Sports Today here on SportsGrid. Happy 4th of July holiday to those of you still in celebration mode. Craig Mish, along with George Kurtz, with you here for this weekend edition of the show. Let's start off with our aces of the week here as we continue to roll on. I will start. George will close us out. Good options this week, and one name that's very hot on the potential trade list could be the Pittsburgh Pirates starting pitcher, George, in Mitch Keller, who certainly is not the ace anymore of the Pirates. Used to be. That's now Paul Skeens. Another really good start for him. 7 innings pitched, no earned runs, 7 strikeouts against the Cardinals, and 1 walk. The Pirates are really playing a little spoiler lately. Seem to be getting some good pitching performances. They got Bednar. He's turned it around. They're closing out games. Too little, too late on the year, George. That's for sure. But Keller is going to be an interesting and I think hot name come trade deadline time in a few weeks.
Agreed, and I think teams should be looking at him. He's got $46 million left on his contract. That might shy some teams away, but at $15.4 million, it's fine for an AAV, right? You'll take that as a good SP3 on a good team, right? So I think he will have value there as well. I went the high end here, all right? I think Zach Wheeler of the Philadelphia Phillies, mainly because, I always feel bad for Zach, all right? I also find it interesting that he announced he's going to retire in 2 years, right? He's not going. That's it. This year, next year, he's done. Maybe before the CBA problems that are certainly to come there. But he's always second fiddle. He's one of the best. But then Strider comes along, and Skeens comes along. So he never really gets that Cy Young award. Pitches in a bandbox there in Philadelphia, so he can't really afford to make mistakes. Had a great start this week for the Phillies there, but. I just think that the Philadelphia Phillies, the pitching staff as a whole, sort of gets underrated here. All right. You got Sanchez, Suarez, guys who we don't talk about enough of those guys either, but really good starting pitchers for Philadelphia. It's why I think, they could be very dangerous. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that the Dodgers are going to the World Series, especially with all the injuries they have. Wheeler's healthy, right. Sanchez, Suarez, could be a fun October.
So Wheeler, is going to be, if not the starter in the All-Star game, he's going to be on the team. George, can you make the case that the Phillies could have 4 starting pitchers making the All-Star team? Take a look at some of the stats here between Wheeler and Christopher Sanchez and Ranger Suarez, and Jesus Luzardo had 2 bad starts this season, and the rest of them, pretty darn good. Have we ever seen 4 pitchers make it? I can make the case.
Maybe the Braves back in the 90s. Glavine, Smoltz, Avery. Am I missing somebody? Didn't they have a 4th too? Maddox. So maybe. I don't know offhand. I didn't do the research there, but I can see those 4 guys possibly making it. So that's the only team I could really think of that would have 4.
You think they'll get 3?
I think they'll get. Okay. We're a gambling show. What would you set the number at? 2.5? I would take the over.
2.5. 2.5.
I would
yeah.
I'll take the. I'm not taking the under. I'll take the over then. I mean, and by the way, will it count for the pitchers who drop out? Because we know there's going to be 3-4 that
That's
drop
true.
out. So that helps out as well. Plus, who's pitching on Sunday? They're not going to play in the game,
Right.
right? So I'll definitely take the over. I think if I was going to set a line, as much as we hate to do it, it's going to have to be a flat 3. There's going to be a flat 3 here, and we'll take a push if we had to there. But yeah, you could make that argument. Luzardo did get beat up again yesterday, by the way.
Yeah.
So I think this is one bad start. He was tipping his pitches in the others. All right, they fixed that. He came back here. One bad start there. I'm not all that worried about Jesus Luzardo there. But yeah, I think I don't think they will have 4, but it wouldn't shock me if they do either.
Yeah, that's a good point. Guys drop out, and in name only, sometimes these guys are all-stars, right? They don't play, but they're there, and they take the cap off, and then they go home, right? And that's, a big part of, some of these guys' salaries, too. Like, they get bonuses, and, arbitration is just so wonky that these guys sit in the arbitration room sometimes, and they make the case and say, this guy was an all-star. And then they're like, oh, okay, that really means something. Because remember, the people who do arbitration sometimes have no business whatsoever in that room. They don't know what baseball is. They just basically are, your average person who doesn't follow the game. And then they're like, wow, they're ruling on money. It's kind of crazy. Okay, so other good pitching performances, George. This week, we certainly have had our fair share of a lot of these guys. Yuri Perez on Miami probably had his best start of the season. Anyone else that comes to mind to you before we take a break here?
I can go Hunter Brown, Lucas Giolito. Wait, it's 7 2/3. This is unbelievable that this is what this guy's doing here. Framber Valdez has been great all season long here. Zach Gallen finally had a good start. I'm not buying in, by the way. I don't think he's going to be that guy we want him to be here, but he had a good start this week as well.
All right, fair enough. We'll take a break here on Fantasy Sports Today. Your trade deadline in fantasy baseball is coming up too. We'll break down some potential movers and shakers next.
We all know a night out at the club in Vegas can get a little bit pricey, but I've got a tip that can save you a cover fee at some of the hottest nightclubs. All you have to do is sign up online for free with a credible guest list service. Then, just show up before 10:30 and check right in. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Trade season in Major League Baseball about to really get hot and get underway. Usually right after the All-Star game is when that percolates. And for those of you who are playing in season-long leagues, got to make some decisions now before your league-imposed trade deadline comes into play as well. George, let's dive into a few names, and we'll start off with a couple that we expected better things from this season, but there's still another half to play. We'll start off, George, with the Baltimore Orioles, where you could say a lot of underachieving going on there this year. Not going to be in the playoff hunt, it would not appear, even though they played better, playing 500 the rest of the way and getting them in the postseason. Gunnar Henderson is not having the season that he had last year. Let's just be frank. He was the top 2, top 3 in the MVP voting last year. I don't remember exactly, but it was close. And there's nothing wrong with these numbers. 20 home runs, 20 steals, 60 runs driven in. That's probably the baseline, George, for Gunnar Henderson the rest of the year. But it depends on kind of where your league is, and I would probably guess that his numbers will be significantly better in the second half. Still going to have to give up a lot to get him, would be my guess.
Yeah, I think Henderson might be another case of be very careful at draft time. Remember, he came into the season hurt, yet was still drafted pretty high. And, even those players who are hurt in March before you draft, maybe you don't want to draft where they're, where their ADP is saying they're going here, because the risk may just not be worth it there. He's had solid numbers, you said, but not Henderson numbers that we want and expected from him, but what you paid for at draft time. So I think that's the only worry there. Last year, sort of the opposite, right? He had a really good first 2/3, trailed off in the last third. At least didn't have as good season at the end here, which happens to a lot of players. They get tired. He's a young player. It could happen to him as well here. Not really worried about Henderson. I said I would take a shot on acquiring if I needed a shortstop here. And on my main league, I have Bo Bichette. So if Henderson was out there, yeah, I'd be trying to acquire him, to upgrade there. But I just don't know if I'm expecting big things here. Orioles are one of probably the biggest disappointment. Well, not the biggest, but one of the bigger disappointment teams in baseball.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I think you can go there. I mean, the Orioles, for them to finish 10 games under 500, no one had that at the beginning of the year. Okay, so here's the question, George, with Bryce Harper, who has now been in the big leagues for a long time and has played at a high level for a long time. Harper's numbers this year are really pedestrian. I mean, these numbers at the end of the season may look similar. I'm a little afraid of this. And the reason why, George, is I think Philadelphia positions themselves as a team that is going to bring this guy, he's back playing again. But I think they're just worried about September. Like, hey, let's get him back. Let's get him healthy. And then in October, we'll be in the postseason, and Bryce Harper will go back to being Bryce Harper again. I don't know that there's any rush to push him. You're seeing him take days off now, too. I'm not going to say that he is like getting the Kershaw treatment where he's 37 years old or something like that, but it just feels like Philly's in no rush to push anyone at this point.
Bryce Harper is a better name than value, right? We all know the name Bryce Harper and plays hard and he hits long home runs here. But when you look at his numbers here, all right, he's going to help you in average. Yeah, he's going to bat around 280, 285. It's what he does here. Doesn't really do much for you on stolen bases, right? He'll get 10 over a full season. He's not going to get that this year. Maybe he does. RBIs, by the way, he hasn't had over 85 or 87 RBIs since 2019. Doesn't drive in a lot of runs. Did hit 30 home runs last year, but that's also not something he generally does. Last year, a couple of years, he's averaging in the low 20s here. So, like I said, if you acquire Harper, you're acquiring the name, and you're probably paying for the name more than you want value on the field, and he gets hurt. Almost every year he gets hurt. Now he's coming back from the injury now, so maybe he got over that. But there's no guarantee he's going to be healthy over the next 3 months here. I would be very, very cautious acquiring Bryce Harper. Like I said, you're going to pay for that name value more than you're going to get value on the field.
I think all that is fair. All right, so I had a chance to see George, the Minnesota Twins, this past week. I'll tell you this, Willie Castro's having a nice year for them. He's going to probably get double-digit home runs and steals on the Twins, which is more than you would expected. But I got to say, George, a little shocking to see this guy bat near the top of their lineup. The Twins, George, I don't know, man. They looked a little lifeless to me. Pablo Lopez is out. Lewis is out again. Buxton's playing great. But, boy, did they miss fire completely on their season, the Twins, assuming that, like, okay, Buxton, it's basically like they sort of rolled the dice on 3 players, Byron Buxton, Royce Lewis, and Carlos Correa, and they're hitting 1 out of 3. And when that happens, you find yourself several games under 500 and playing yourself out of it.
Yeah. I don't know much to add to that. All right, and if you're, by the way, if you're banking on Buxton, you know he's going to get hurt. He's been hurt a couple of times this year. Not the major injury that we've seen to lose him for a couple of months, but he's missed a couple of weeks here and there. Correa's been a bust. I mean, just then Lewis. What happened to this guy? I mean, he's been. I mean, once again, came into the season hurt the hamstring. I think again in spring training. They were early in the season. He was out for a while, but he has not recovered. Right, not hitting a lick at all here, and they're not a team that has players who can make up for it. You know, their stars aren't carrying this team. Man, this is an under. Every time we look at the Twins, under. I don't care who they're playing, I'm taking the under because they cannot hit. Either you're taking their team total under or the game under, and that means that once again your fantasy players or your fantasy outcomes are not good for this team here. Buxton, when healthy, is probably the only guy I'm interested in starting game in, game out.
Yeah, he's had a good year, but the rest of the Twins have not. Okay, starting pitchers, Seth Lugo of Kansas City has just come alive over the last couple of months. He's having another good year, George, pitching his way probably back into the All-Star game, I would guess. 2.65 earned run average, 95 innings. He's going to push 200 innings this season. 83 strikeouts, 1.09 earned run average. Having another really solid year for Kansas City. At this point, there's nothing to say that he won't produce in the second half like he has in the first. I don't have any concerns.
No, me either. I mean, I guess once again, if I want to play devil's advocate, maybe he gets traded to a team that's on a not as pitcher-friendly ballpark. That's the only negative I can figure out from here. He did get hurt for a little bit, which is in some ways good. He'll save his innings. He's fresher. He can go in that direction here. As you said here, I have no problem with Seth Lugo. If he's available on the market, we all need pitching depth, whatever it might be. And he's more than depth, by the way. I think on a fantasy team, he's no worse than an SP3.
The Texas Rangers are one of the more perplexing questions coming up at the trade deadline. So naturally, Jacob deGrom's name is coming up. And deGrom is having a Cy Young Award season again. 100. I mean, he's having the best season he's had in years. 100 innings, 100 strikeouts, an ERA of 2, a WHIP under 1. And then, George, it's like you have to ask yourself, why are the Rangers even considering selling? I mean, they're 2 games under 500. I know they're just so far back of Houston, but like, don't you feel like they're 1 5-game winning streak from being back in this? I don't know. I don't see this punting. Do you?
They're already back in it. They're 3 games out of the wild card. They're fine. All right. I mean, if they were 10 games over 500 and 3 games back of a wild card, we're not talking about this, right? So yeah, okay, their record isn't great here, but they're only 3 games back of the wild card. Granted, it's not going to be easy. Those 3 teams are Tampa, the Yankees, and Seattle. You know, I don't know if any of those teams are going away. They got to climb over the Los Angeles Angels and Boston Red Sox as well. So it's at least 3 teams they have to climb over there for the wild card. I don't think they're trading deGrom, and he's been great. I mean, let's face it, if not the Schoolable, you want to throw Fried in here and Hunter Brown, he might be the starter in the All-Star game, right? What a story he is. Fantastic. But the main reason I don't think anyone's trading for him is that contract's what, $37.5 million a year. Got a couple of years left. That's a lot of money you're banking on Jacob deGrom. All right, the acquiring team. So I don't think he's getting dealt, and I don't think Texas would eat the money, Greg. I think that's also a thing there. I don't think they would say, okay, fine, we'll trade you deGrom. We'll eat some money here and we'll get a so-so return here. No, they would rather go for the wild card, take a chance that deGrom can lead them there. And so far, he's been great. I think he starts today as well.
If you're struggling for saves, it'd be a really easy target to just look at the best closer in baseball and say Edwin Diaz. But you're going to pay such a premium here, George, to get this kind of player. The guy who has him doesn't want to trade him, and the team that wants to trade for him is probably not going to give up enough. So I don't think he's moving around in fantasy or reality, to be honest.
I certainly don't think he's moving on in reality. Fantasy, and once again, it could happen. Somebody could have 3 closers. Maybe they can move him. But as you said, you're probably going to overpay for the guy. But once again, he's turned it around. He's been good as well here. But I'm not going to pay that price.
This is the toughest 2-start week for pitchers, I think, all season. George and I are going to have to dive in here and find a diamond in the rough. We'll be right back.
We all know a night out at the club in Vegas can get a little bit pricey, but I've got a tip that can save you a cover fee at some of the hottest nightclubs. All you have to do is sign up online for free with a credible guest list service. Then, just show up before 10:30 and check right in. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Sometimes when you're looking for pitchers on the waiver wire, the word of the week is pass. And boy, I think we could be headed that way, George, this week. This is going to be a little bit tough. Normally we get some aces or some pitchers pitching at a high level where we can throw in for 2 starts, but you're definitely taking some risks. So, George, let's dive in and take a look at some potential. Now, starts off okay, I will say. The Mets have Clay Holmes making 2 starts. He'll start at Baltimore and at Kansas City, and everyone's like, well, wait a second, this is not that bad. Well, we haven't gotten to the other names yet, but I think that this is one, George, that he's probably not going to be available in most leagues. So you're probably going to have to start him regardless.
Yeah, I think you're starting Holmes. Yeah, you're getting a little bonus here. He was supposed to have 2 starts this week, but the rain out on Tuesday forced the Mets to play with doubleheader. So he doesn't start Sunday against the Yankees. He'll start for the Mets here. The only negative here is that they're babying him. You know, they're worried about the innings with Clayton Holmes. Remember, he only pitched, 70 last year with the Yankees. He's already passed that with the Mets here. So he's generally 5 and fly here. So it's the only thing you're worried about there. But even so, he starts for my fantasy team.
All right, Jose Soriano of the Angels playing some pretty good baseball, surprising a lot of people this season. Soriano faces off in 2 tough environments here, both at home against Texas and Arizona. Oof, both those teams need some wins here. What do you think about Soriano?
You sort of get 1 good start, 1 bad start, right? Arizona can be a problem. We know they can hit. Texas, not so much, all right? They've been in offensive doldrums all season long here. That being said, seem to be breaking out of it a little bit here. Maybe. Marcus Semion's figured out how to hit now. Corey Seager's playing well. Those who are really carrying the team. I'm going to start him. Like I said, I'll take the chances here. I may not love it, but he's a 2-start week. Odds are he'll be better than he'll have to be better than one of my 1 starters. So I kind of like it for Jose Soriano. He's up and down, and that's why he's available, right? Because he is up and down. He's not consistent there. But I kind of like these 2 starts, especially the one against Texas.
Jeffrey Springs, mixed bag for the A's this season. Most people feel, George, he'll be traded come trade deadline time. Faces off with Atlanta and Toronto this week. Both games are at home, and knowing how you have talked about this environment all season, I'm going to guess this is a pass.
Listen, I'm going to try and play the reason why. Okay, Atlanta is having a lot of trouble hitting, right? Only got to score 2 runs again last night against Charlie Morton. No. All right, no. The first thing you said when you said Springs, like, all right, where are they pitching? It's at home? No, you're not starting. Toronto is as hot as Hades right now, and it's in Sacramento. No, just no.
Brady Singer of the Cincinnati Reds. On paper, you would think, George, that these are some decent matchups here against the Marlins on Monday and then the Rockies on Saturday, but Singer himself has not been a fantastic option all season long. Look, I guess if You're looking at less than 50% owned pitchers in 12-team leagues. Is this a shot that you would take?
Well, that's the question. What do I like to say when we have the segment each week? If you have Singer on your roster, all right, and you're not starting him against Miami and Colorado, I know Miami's played very well, and Colorado actually has played better of late also, by the way. But if you're not starting him this week, then why is he on your roster? Okay, it just comes down to that. I mean, we start so many pitches. It's a 2-start week here. Everything you said is true. I mean, he's at a 4.36 ERA. His whip is 1.34. He is striking out about a batter an inning here, so he gets some Ks there. Yeah, he starts for me. I don't love it. He hasn't pitched all that well. And it's, once again, you're pitching in the Great American Small Park, so he could get beat up a little bit here. But if I don't start him this week, then I'm cutting him.
Chicago White Sox hard to endorse 2-start pitchers here. Aaron Savali got his wish and was moved to Chicago, but thus far, George, just one measly win on the season. I mean, this calls for desperation here. This is like the last bottle of alcohol in the house. Nothing left. Searching in the back of the fridge. Toronto and Cleveland, not horrendous, I guess, but you got to be really scraping the bottom here.
All right, Cleveland's not hitting. All right, they're not. I mean, once again, if it was in Cleveland, I would feel a lot better here. But Toronto's been mashing the ball here. They just beat the snot out of the Yankees there. No, I can't endorse this. Even with that Cleveland start, I just can't endorse. I mean, I don't know if they're going to beat Cleveland. I don't know if he's going to get any wins. The team can't hit, so he can lose those games anyway. Where's your upside here? I don't really see it. So no on Savali. And like I said, he's the guy, if he's on my roster, I would cut. When he's back in Milwaukee, maybe you forgot about him. Time to move on.
Okay, so those are 2-star pitchers. We'll have some streaming options coming up in just a few minutes. George, where are you at with, a lot of people are probably, playing in their fantasy baseball league. We've hit the month of July. And, for a lot of leagues, they set the trade deadline at different times. Do you have self-imposed trade deadlines in your fantasy leagues? I mean, I know some leagues where you can literally make trades, non-keeper, by the way, all the way up until September. Are you an advocate of that, or do you think that you should subscribe to the Major League Baseball trade deadline on, I believe it is the 31st this year?
Yeah, this year's the 31st at 6 p.m. I kind of think it should be August 1st. Give yourself a day to figure out what players move to new teams here, new leagues, whatever it might be, and you figure it out, their value. My home league, that's how that works there. It is the August 1st. So that's what I prefer. That being said, it is what it is. A lot of leagues, it's August 15th, too. That seems to be a popular one in some of the leagues I play in for whatever reason. A lot of times, Craig, people just don't change it. It's whatever the site you play on, ESPN, CBS, whatever. You just take whatever the site tells you to take, which is what it is. I don't like later deadlines. I don't want a league to be determined because your deadline is September 1st, and someone just goes, "Oh, I need this, so I just trade all for this." It should, it should be a couple of months. By the way, that's also why I prefer keeper or dynasty leagues. This way, if you're trading out, you're really trading out. It adds more strategy to it. I do like the leagues that you can trade draft picks. Stuff like that for next year. Once again, it adds more strategy to it, more fun here. So I prefer around the Major League Baseball deadline, the first week in August.
Have you made any trades this year in your leagues? Any?
You can't make trades. No one trades. This is not like when you and I first started, man. I've tried so hard. Craig, I think I got so frustrated. I could offer somebody Aaron Judge and ask for a ham sandwich back, and they wouldn't do the deal.
They wouldn't even respond, right?
No, I used to get very polite. No, thank yous. That's what I get. No counter offer. No, well, I need this. No, just no, thank you. Nothing. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, that's the dynamic that we have in the day and age of. I mean, I think that if a fantasy company really wanted to make a lot of money, I would have it in terms of texting. That'd be the only way I think you could get a trade done is via text offer. All right, streaming options for Week 16 next.
We all know a night out at the club in Vegas can get a little bit pricey, but I've got a tip that can save you a cover fee at some of the hottest nightclubs. All you have to do is sign up online for free with a credible guest list service. Then, just show up before 10:30 and check right in. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Let's go streaming with some fantasy baseball pitchers this coming week before we get to Gray Albright coming up in about 30 minutes. This is week 16. This is one start, George, and these are players that are under 25% rostered in fantasy baseball. Let's start off with the Red Sox on Monday. Simple and plain, this is probably a good one. Richard Fitz against the Colorado Rockies. The Red Sox are at home on a Monday against the worst team in baseball. You said it. They are playing better. But if I'm going to grab somebody, this probably is a good time to start.
Fitz is actually a two-star pitcher, by the way. The fact that he's going on Monday lets us know that. Fitz goes against Colorado, then he gets Tampa Bay. That second start is Shane Baz, for what it's worth here. Even if it was one start, by the way, yeah, all right, he'd be a guy because he's facing Colorado. All right, so I'll take a shot on. Listen, I don't like Fitz. All right, he's not somebody I want on my team, and the fact that it's a two-start week is really perfect because he is a streamer. You'll start him this week, and then you're getting rid of him. All right, because you're not going to want him to be on your team probably after that here. But yeah, he would go for me 1 or 2 starts this week.
We have Andre Palante of the St. Louis Cardinals, 8% owned in fantasy leagues, gets a matchup Tuesday against the Washington Nationals. I guess if you just walk James Wood, just call Andre, George, pick him up, call him, say just walk James Wood, and the rest of your start will be fine.
That's what they did the other night, right? What they intentionally walked him 17 times here. I don't know why more teams don't do that, Craig.
I know.
We joke about it, but why let the other team's best hitter when they, let's face it, Washington doesn't have a lot of great hitters, but when they only have 1 or 2 and the game's on the line here, why do you pitch to him? Why? He's really good, James Wood. Really, really, really good. So, yeah, I would walk him as well here. Ponte's another one. He's got 2 starts next week. I was telling you during the break here, I'm deciding between him and Yuri Perez for my fantasy team to replace Clark Schmidt, who got hurt. I play in a points league, so wins are more important. So I'm kind of leaning towards Palante, but Yuri Perez is the better pitcher. I don't think it's really all that close here. So I haven't made that final decision here, and I'll decide later this week. But, yeah, I would start Palante if I had him on my roster this week as well.
All right. Now, this is a little bit of a stunner. The Blue Jays decided to give Eric Lauer a shot in their rotation. George, what is going on here? This guy is pitching fantastic. 4-1 with an ERA sub-3, 15% owned against the White Sox. I mean, look, he's got the potential to get blown up at any time. He's a soft-tossing lefty. But, man, for the time being, if the Blue Jays are going to score runs like in your points league, you got to go for it, right?
Agreed. You're riding the hot guy. You're playing a bad team. I understand Chicago. The White Sox, that ball does fly out of that ballpark. But if it was at home, it'd be the same problem. All right. So, yes, I think you already named the reason why. They're playing well. They're scoring runs here. Points league. Wins could be big here. Get a couple of strikeouts. I'll take my chances with Lauer.
All right, we've got Yu Darvish of the San Diego Padres. Remember Yu Darvish, 38-year-old starting pitcher, career fantastic. What's missing from Yu Darvish, George, this season? Oh, that would be stats from Yu Darvish. Yeah, I don't know about this. I mean, this is like in name only for me at this point. Takes on Arizona, 24% owned. People hanging on to this guy for half a season. Kind of crazy.
This is a guess anyway, right? Because he was supposed to. They thought maybe he was going to start Sunday. They scratched him there, so we don't know if and when he'd start during the week, or is he going to start? Is it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever day it might be? It doesn't matter. For me, I intensely dislike starting a pitcher his first game back after returning from a long-term injury, which is what this is. We haven't seen him this year, so there's no way I'm starting. It doesn't. And by the way, if we talk about this next week, same topic. I'm not starting him that game either. If I need to see him pitch once before I'll think about putting him in my lineup.
The Texas Rangers signed Patrick Corbin in the offseason. Man, in April, Patrick Corbin looked like the signing of the offseason. But all good things must come to an end, and it has for Corbin. Although his numbers at the end of the season are going to be better this year than they have been in the last few years, George. You got to be a little nutty to start him at Houston, no?
I don't think you need to be nutty. All right, you mentioned all right. It's catching up to him. We didn't expect him to have a great season. He's not getting wrecked, but last couple of starts, 3 earned runs, 5 earned, 4, 3. It's starting to come the other way here. Houston doesn't have the greatest offense. I know they scored 18 last night, but listen, the bottom line is this: if this was in Texas, the Rangers ballpark, not the state of Texas, it is in there. I'd probably start him in Texas. In Houston, no.
We'll go odd shopping coming up next. American League MVP, National League MVP, Cy Youngs, and Rookies of the Year. First hour is officially in the books for those of you who stuck around with us for the full hour. Awesome job. We got another hour to go, though. If you have the time, stick around as George and I will be back with more fantasy sports today here on Sports Grid on this July 4th holiday weekend. We'll be back right after this.
We all know a night out at the club in Vegas can get a little bit pricey, but I've got a tip that can save you a cover fee at some of the hottest nightclubs. All you have to do is sign up online for free with a credible guest list service. Then, just show up before 10:30 and check right in. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rhythm. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We've got our weekend fantasy preview of starting pitchers coming up in just a few minutes. We'll dive into some probable starters. We've got this weekend, and then we've got next weekend, and then Major League Baseball takes a break for, I have to actually check the schedule. It's definitely 3 days. Usually it's 4. Sometimes a couple of teams play on that first Thursday after the All-Star break. And George, in the past, there's a couple of things that I think you and I have experienced in being in this industry for a long time. The first is that if you don't like taking a break in fantasy baseball for 3 or 4 days, you're pretty much crazy, because it was always my favorite moment where I knew for 3 days I didn't have to open up the website